What's going on, everybody? Another episode of Save the Date. I'm one of your hosts, Heath.
What's good, everybody? I'm your other host, Jamie O.
Yeah, and we're back at it, talking about ghosting, breadcrumbing, and swiping. How to handle dating frustrations.
I was excited for this one.
Yeah, I could tell. Our conversation before we press record, I can tell you wanted to talk about this. But I did too, because I think this is a prominent topic that features very well in the mission of Save the Date, to talk about dating as a gateway to connection and ultimately finding and discovering love. And one of the things that's a major frustration with dating is all of the ways in which people manipulate, misdirect, break promises via online dating. And it's not saying it wasn't there before, but I think it's become more prominent over the years
Whew.
because a screen is easier to do your work. Look, I tell people all the time, think about this, everything that was developed for a screen: phones, computers, TV, all those devices were created for comfort and ease. No one wants to do anything through a screen and be difficult. You should not feel like you're cutting up wood for your fire or cutting up firewood. You shouldn't feel like you're trying to snake a toilet when you turn on your TV. You want your TV to turn on and it turn on. Open up your MacBook, it goes on. Unless you got a Windows and it just turns and turns for like 15 minutes. But that's why people prefer Macs. You turn on your phone, it turns on, it works. Nothing built for a screen is meant to be hard. It is purposefully and willfully and intentionally designed to be easy. Start with that premise.
When technology messes up, people get angry at a level that's like...
Even back in the day, even when, talk about a screen, we had dial-up modem, and it took longer than like 30 seconds to connect to the AOL 3.0.
Yeah, some people's ready to throw that laptop across the room.
Oh, yeah. And even now, like, you go on a computer and then it's supposed to connect and you don't see that Google home screen pop up.
It's a problem.
And it goes 15, 20 seconds. That 15, 20 seconds feel like 15 minutes.
Lifetime. Yeah, for some people.
So remember, this is designed to be easy. So any dating function that happens through a screen is for the purposes, or is meant to be easy.
And convenient, for sure.
And they will build that app. They will construct that app. They will redesign that app just so that it can be easy. Notice I'm saying not effective,
but easy.
Notice I'm saying not for the purpose of you connecting or feeling connected. Mm-hmm. Notice I'm not saying that it's there to help you take your matches from match to first date. It is there solely for the ease of use. This is why we have a term called UX, user experience design. It's all about making it easy for you to do and take the next step with an application, even if it means keeping you on the app and gamifying the whole matchmaking process, because there's more utility in providing you and putting you in that game than there is necessarily in getting you to a connection. And honestly, to be fair to the companies, how can they get you to a connection? That's your responsibility. The train takes you to where your job is. You have to get up the steps and go to the job.
They'll take that monthly fee, though. They don't got no problem with that.
Well, if the train's working, but
they ain't thinking about your connection.
Yeah, so you have to think about what actually makes sense and the medium and the politics behind the medium that you're currently using to meet somebody, the pros and cons of it. But let's get right into it. Jay, why don't you kick us off? Because I actually have some things that I want to do coming from my professor hat with just talking about some stats. But, I want you to just kind of kick off the conversation with your viewpoint on this whole idea of how to handle dating frustrations.
Well, I honestly don't really know how to handle it, but I do know that there are some dating trends that seem to be really popular or have gotten popular over the last, 10, 15 years with the rise of dating apps, and ghosting is at the top of the list. It seems like, anecdotally, I'm sure you hear this, but me being out in the field and seeing it, it is very easy to kind of get into something with somebody. You have a good couple of conversations, whether online or offline. And if it doesn't get spicy fast enough, or if it doesn't get interesting, whatever that means for you, fast enough, it's easy to pull the plug. Before you know it, that person is just a memory. Or depending what side you're on, either you stop talking and initiating conversation, or they will. And, that ghosting thing, I've heard so many people talk about it. But one thing that I've always felt about ghosting is that, it kind of says more about the person who does it than the person who is being done to. Like, if you don't have just like, enough concern for somebody just as a person to be like, yo, listen, I know we've been talking for the last couple of weeks or however long. I don't see this going anywhere. I'm not necessarily as interested or invested as I was in the beginning. So I just kind of want to cut it off. Like, it takes no time to do that. Now, I do understand that because I've ghosted people before. Sometimes it's easier to just pull the plug because you're just like, I'm not necessarily that connected to this person. We didn't necessarily build the kind of connection where I feel like they deserve that explanation on why I'm not interested anymore. So, people make moves based on how important they see somebody in their life. But I would just say, instead of, I guess, kind of taking it personally and internalizing somebody ghosting you, the best advice that I could give and that I've done is just kind of redirect that attention towards somebody who's showing like clear communication and like a clear desire and intention to get to know you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to start off by saying something that I think is equally important. It's not you, it's the market.
Mm.
It's not you, it's the market.
Mm-hmm.
And I need people to understand this. A lot of what is happening and I would say manifesting in the current dating market is not you as an individual, it's the market and the way the market is currently set up. Supply and demand, inventory, all these business terms I know may seem a little intrusive into your romance life or your romantic life, but it's very true in the sense of analyzing larger market trends. So let me take it from the top. Ghosting. Let's talk about some stats. A 2019 survey by Plenty of Fish, you guys know POF, very famous website, been around for years, found that 80% of millennials have been ghosted at least once. This is 2019. I'm sure it's
80%.
80% of millennials have been ghosted at least once. A 2020 study by the Pew Research Center, by the way, they're a great research center. You can sign up for their news and email newsletters, revealed that 30% of US adults who have used dating apps reported being ghosted by someone they were dating or talking to. Gender differences. Women are slightly more likely to experience ghosting than men, with 32% of women reporting being ghosted compared to 28% of men. Again, think of the market. In a place like New York City, there's more available women than there are men. It's lopsided. So the market's going to play out a certain way. It's not you, it's the market. Age factor. Younger adults, 18 to 29 years old, are more likely to experience ghosting, with 40% reporting they've been ghosted. Now let's talk about breadcrumbing. Let's define breadcrumbing. Breadcrumbing refers to sending sporadic, non-committal messages to keep someone interested without any intention of pursuing a serious relationship. Let's deal with some more stats. A 2021 survey by Hinge found that 90% of users had experienced breadcrumbing at some point. 90% of the Hinge users have experienced breadcrumbing. Breadcrumbing can lead to feelings of confusion and low self-esteem, and obviously we know what the import is and the impact is for it. Those are just some stats that I like to read. I always like to talk about the market. Why do I always talk about the market? Because I do feel if people approached some of their romantic and dating life with the cold, dispassionate mindset of the market, it allows them to fixate or rather focus on important factors that they can control and recognize factors they cannot control. You cannot control someone's heart. You can control yours. And if you can't control your heart, you can learn how to better influence and learn to control it with certain techniques and practices. That's very, very important. You're going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say breadcrumbing is that's like the brand new hustle. I feel like that's the run up nowadays. Like,
Yeah.
People are getting very adept at, let me show them enough to keep them on the line.
Let me just see how this is going to play out.
Knowing they have no intentions to take it any further than where it already is.
Interesting. Why do you think that is?
I mean, I think it's really easy to a lot of people like carbon copy relationships, not necessarily something authentic and genuine. We're living in a day and age where the next best thing is almost the best thing to people. People don't necessarily, they say they want to be in love. They say they want these genuine and authentic, deep, loving relationships. But look at the dating trends. People are happy ghosting. They're happy with the breadcrumbing, keeping people on the line. They're happy with foodie calls or just, booty calls, whatever that is, sneaky linking, all of the things that could happen in a relationship or a more connected type of
experience.
scenario. You know what I mean? If people were just connected, it could happen in that scenario. But it's the next best thing. People want, all of the risk, all of the reward with no risk. They're happy to get the payoff, but not make the investment.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the day and age we're living in right now.
They're happy to get the payoff, but not the investment. It almost reminds me of where we're at larger society, other critiques that have been made about society at large because of the ways in which we want, but we don't want to sow. We want harvest without planting any seeds. We want big retirement funds without putting away money. We always want the, payout at the end of a startup sale, but we haven't made any investment. And again, I'm not talking about material items or even monetary transactions, just thinking about the way in which we think about how we can skate to the outcomes without having to think about the inputs. Whether it's about our bodies, our relationships, everything is being resolved through some kind of intervention that's just that much easier for us to either acquire or do, rather than the long leg work of getting through the pain and the difficulty to arrive at a new destination, a new self, a new beginning for ourselves and for another person. And
Facts.
so appropriate, I believe, for what like I said, some people would critique and say that we're seeing currently in our generation.
It's easier to nip tuck than to be in the gym an hour a day for a lot of people.
Yeah, or they prefer it. And it
Right,
may not
right.
even be easier, but that's what they tell themselves, right? And
Hmm. Hmm.
the nip tuck, I will say the nip tuck at least presents an opportunity to have a turnaround in 6 months, as opposed to something that may really legitimately take 2 years of hard, consistent work. That's rough. It's rough. And I think for me, when I think largely about this whole ghosting thing, is not to take it personal. As you said, it says more about the other person than it says about you. But I will say this on the flip side, you should personalize the change. What I
Mm.
mean is, if there are opportunities for you to change who you are in order to really have do the things you need to do to have the things you want, you should do it. Be, do, have, right? Become the person you want to be, to do the things you need to do to have the things that you want. If through dating and going online and talking to people, listening to your friends, and trust me, we have plenty of episodes in our previous podcast about friendships, and we were going to emphasize friendships and save the date. Hopefully your friends are being honest. Hopefully you're listening to the honesty your friends are providing you. Make those changes. Personalize the change. If you tell your friend I got ghosted again and they say, yo, dude, I've been telling you, you have a major problem with cutting people off in your conversations. You have a major problem of not seeming to remember or really dialogue with people about what they shared with you, even sometimes within like one day to the next. If I say to you on Tuesday, by Thursday, you're like, huh? You're not even kind about it. Like, hey, I remember you told me that. Can you tell me again? Or you're just like barbaric and brutish.
Or
Huh? What are you talking about?
pursuing the same type, knowing that they're not really into you like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. You have friends telling you that, or friends telling you about the type, the type of behaviors you exhibit when you show up in certain relationships and who you become, right? Or you go from this kind person to being a little arrogant, a little smart mouth, and a little full of slights, and snide, and you deride people, you make fun of them. I noticed that, like, when you get that kind of person you want, especially a person with maybe a certain level of wealth or a certain level of looks, you become someone else. These are the things you should personalize, in the sense that you should take them in, think about them, and say, I'm taking personal responsibility for myself and for my actions, and I'm going to change.
Whew.
I'm going to be a better person, and I'm going to continue to strive to become somebody that I need to become, to do the things that I need to do, to have the things that I want.
The R word and the A word are like,
Responsibility and accountability, they're necessary.
yeah,
They are the
people
tension.
avoid them like the plague.
Well, I think it's easy to, because so many options, again, sticking with this motif of easy, are being presented so that you can do it. I saw something where
Mm.
some guy was like, I think a pharmacist, a pharmaceutical company created the benefits of exercise in a pill. How many people will continue to take that pill as opposed to exercising? Even
Right.
though you would get the benefits, you would never have the strength or formation of body and mind that comes with actually exercising. So maybe you get the benefits and your organs may feel or move different, be different. But the reality is, at the end of the day, you would never have the fortified mindset. You would never have the type of body that's been under stress and time under tension to really be forged, created, and crafted into a powerful, loving body. And I say love because love is a part of the body formation, bodybuilding, fitness process. You haven't maybe learned to love yourself. All you know how to do is take a pill.
Mm.
Maybe your affirmations got stronger as you struggled, so that eventually your struggles were diminished and your affirmations increased and your mind changed, how you viewed yourself changed. That's all through responsibility and accountability for your actions. That's why I said do personalize it in the sense of personal responsibility. Take responsibility for your actions.
Yeah. I mean, that's hard to do though when you're getting a whole lot of likes and matches and attention and people are affirming you as is, it doesn't incentivize you to change.
It doesn't, but also we're dealing with how to handle dating frustrations. If you keep going around in the same circle over and over and over again, you reach out for advice and someone's telling you something and you find yourself being defensive about it. That's okay if you feel defensive. I'm saying if you feel defensive and then you become defensive, those are two different scenarios. Feel the defensiveness, but then listen.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
okay to feel defensive. You're going to feel a lot of things. You should feel a lot of things. It's your body, it's your experience, your life experience. But are you taking the time to listen? Are you taking the time to engage? Are you taking the time to reflect on what someone's telling you, especially a close friend, about who you are, about what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
about steps you're taking that aren't necessarily the best for you? They're not that healthy for you. And I think if you take these steps, your friend may say, I think you'll have a better dating experience.
Yeah. I mean, we know that to be true, just the logic itself. But again, when you are, and I'm just, I know a lot of women who go through this who tell me about it. And sometimes it's hard to tell them that they are the problem because they can tell you about all of the dudes that they have talked to, dated, and the flaws with them. And you want to ask, well, like, why do you keep entertaining this kind of guy?
Yeah.
But they enjoy the attention of the sheer volume of guys that are approaching them or talking to them or whatever. I think it's different on the guy's side because I don't want to say a lot of times dudes are just okay with doing dirt or doing wrong. But a lot of times dudes know when they out here just scheming and scamming and trying to knock something down, they don't have any problem admitting it. But it's like they
Do
don't
your
want to
changing.
change. They
Yes.
don't want to change
Yeah.
it.
They'll
Yeah.
take the heat and say, yeah, I'm messing up. But then there's no change. Whereas typically, as people may argue with women, they won't even listen to it. But with the men, they'll listen to it, but then they won't change. And this is why I'm saying feeling than doing. The doing
Yeah.
has to happen. It's okay to
Right.
feel one way, but are you doing? Are you pursuing? Are you hungry for change? Because ultimately, I think that's going to provide a different life for you. It's going to
Mm.
provide a different set of dating partners, which then would provide a different set of outcomes for you. You'll be able to actually work with people that you would find out you really want to be with and that you actually like. One of the biggest critiques, and I said this in a previous episode, Jamie and I leveled at each other, and it wasn't so much that we were doing anything wrong, but it was more of a realization that came out in a conversation almost 16 years ago, which is your desires are manufactured. So sometimes when you say what you like and what you look in a person, we were talking about aesthetics, for example, blonde hair, big butt, thighs, chocolate, caramel skin. And don't get me wrong, you can appreciate the rainbow. But sometimes when I hear people drill down on their preferences, it's a couple of things. One, I can hear maybe some childhood stuff. Two, I can hear some political stuff. Like, I don't date people who look like X or from this race or from this ethnicity. So there's a socio-political comment around their dating and their dating habits and their dating lifestyle. Then I can hear more so aspirational. I want to be with this person because this is what I want in my future. And this type of person is the person who could most likely, highly probably, can give this to me or do it with me. So there's a lot that goes into attraction, into actual commitment. And it's not all just, I think, pheromones and chemistry. I think that's a part of it. But some people deny chemistry to go for what may be aspirational, what may be socio-political, what may be childhood programming. And we have to keep that in mind when we talk about people who at times don't want to think about changing to really be happy, or better yet than happy, live in joy and feel satisfied.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's just a critique that we had to deal with. Manufacturing, realizing, our desires are manufactured, and some of the critiques that I may have against, woman I'm with may just be from a place of, well, why do you want that?
Mm.
And then I have to ask myself, yeah, why do I want that? Well, it's because I just want it. Come on, brother. We're supposed to be an accountability group here. We're supposed to be forward thinking here. I need you to keep asking yourself why.
Why?
Getting to
Yeah.
the root cause
Deeper.
of
Deeper.
why do you have this critique against this woman you're with, who has also helped you, provided for you, supported you, loved you, cherished you, put up with you. And now all of a sudden you have all these critiques against her and you're walking away from your relationship because she doesn't have X, she doesn't have Y. And it's
Yeah.
stuff that me and you've had to deal with in our own friendship and about our respective significant others any given time.
I think about why did I get married all of the time and that whole 80-20 thing and how many people we've seen go through that. He married or not, just being in a relationship, things might be going well for a good period of time. And then it's like it falls off. And then you're like, the people in a relationship are just kind of like, it's easy for them to just let it go
Of course.
because they are prioritizing that 20%, even though they have that. And I mean, 80 is a really high number. A lot of people probably aren't getting 80. I think a lot of people might be getting more close to like 65, 70. But even with
Six
that,
sixty 40.
but even with that, you have more than you don't. But
Yeah. Yeah.
we are prioritizing and magnifying and amplifying that piece that we don't.
Yeah. And I get it. For some people, that 40 is huge. It's screaming loudly on 10 megaphones a day. I just think that you have to ask yourself, and this is important for how to handle dating frustrations. What am I willing to accept? What am I willing to work with? And what your homeboy, homegirl, whatever your friend is going to take is going to be different than you. And you have to be careful not to let your friendship circle encroach or attack what you want for yourself. And a lot of that is just taking time before dating or while you're dating to figure out what's going to work for you. Because I'm not going to demonize that some choices are socio-political, some choices are aspirational or childhood programming. I get it. It's just part of how we move as human beings. We're part of our memory. Memory is a part of us, or some people even say we are memory. So we have to contend with ways in which our memory is, we're relying on our memory when we're selecting somebody new who may resemble somebody from our family or someone we're trying to avoid from our family. I don't want to demonize these things, but you should be reflecting upon these things so that you're making better decisions as you date and that you're not getting caught up in these cycles of rejection and abandonment. I mean, I heard my therapist say it best. What happens? We go on these apps that are designed to be easy to match. You match with someone. You're not connected. You meet up. Your stranger danger part of your brain is going off the whole
Activated,
entire time
highly activated.
because you don't know this person. All you know is that they're great on text. They made you feel comfortable via FaceTime, and now you're on a date with them. Now you're on a date with this person. Y'all are drinking, having a good time. Y'all flowing. Y'all feeling it. Y'all both feel the chemistry is at an all-time high. You go back to their place. You go back to his place, her place, their place, the hotel, motel, Holiday Inn. All right. And you do that. Then you sleep with the person, stranger danger, right? Then you start to maybe hang out with them or you feel awkward and you cut them off. Well, now you're like, oh, I cut that person off. They were cool. You try to reach back out. They already moved on. Now you're in this cycle of never really feeling well adjusted to the other individual or feeling adjusted to yourself. And then you do it all over again. And you're in this cycle of bringing yourself up to a really good high, then bring it down to a low. Bring yourself up to a really good high, and then falling down to a low, to the point you get in these cycles of rejection and abandonment. No one wants to be with me. I don't know why it can't work. And then, of course, when you're in a cycle of rejection and abandonment, it is leading to mental health issues, most likely.
I feel like
So
maybe
get to
not.
know yourself. Go ahead,
Feel
please.
like maybe not intentionally, but dating apps are kind of designed for that. They're kind of designed to breed mental health issues in people, especially around the rejection. Like it's so constant, and a lot of people associate either the rejection or acceptance with their value, and they end up feeling like you said, well, how come nobody wants to be with me because they've been rejected by the last three people that they match with? When it's really like you said, don't take it personally. That's just the market. It really has nothing to do with you, or not everything is really about you in that way. It is that a lot of people on these apps are not necessarily looking to connect. They're just looking to match. They're just looking to flirt and maybe hang out, spend some time, see where things go. But they want it
Give
to
it
get
cash.
spicy. But they know where they want it to go. They want it to go straight to the bedroom, to the window, to the wall, to the
The sweat
sweatshirt.
drops off my hinge.
Exactly.
About
But
to be
yeah,
on a dating binge.
but that's I think dating apps are kind of designed for that.
Yeah. And again, think of the scale of dating apps. They're going through massive profiles, massive
Mm.
registration lists, and pictures in order to match people. I mean, we're at unprecedented scale with technology. To go back with the Mark Anderson article from 2010 in Wall Street Journal, software eats the world. Software is eating through every industry and every known facet of life, helping to either make it more efficient, make it easier to conduct business, to transact. I mean, you're really talking about matchmaking at an industrial scale.
Hmm.
Who in their right minds, from Zara Yaqub to Nefertiti, Queen Hatshepsut, to Charlemagne, I'll do Julius Caesar, then Charlemagne, to Henry VIII, to
Genghis Khan, to whatever
whoever, right?
premier. Yeah,
President Obama, really ever thought that we would have matchmaking at this industrial scale,
yeah.
with so many people from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different nations, cross-pollinating and potentially forging and forming relationships, or at least hookups with each other. Forget even the relationships, just even the hookups is unprecedented.
Mm-hmm.
How many naked bodies would you see 200, 300 years ago in a village or even in like a small town, like Colony? How many naked bodies? I mean, if you were Undertaker,
Maybe at
they
the
tell you.
town brothel, but
Yeah,
outside of that, yeah,
exactly.
outside of that, nah, you wasn't
Even
seeing that.
that, it was probably the same bodies after a while. It's like, it's, you had just your standards go to. Now, we're just, reaching across the world.
Yeah,
And
unless you was in Caligula's palace, you wasn't really seeing bodies like that.
yeah, Nero and all those people. Yeah. And maybe, but again, you're talking about Rome, and maybe they're importing bodies, but again, not at the scale that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Dating, we've become kind of like chattel slaves.
It's just churn,
Mm-hmm.
and manufacturing
Turnkey.
plant, right?
Yeah, very. Mm-hmm.
Just get it in and get it out. Process, process, process. And that's what we've become. We've gone from manufacturing things to manufacturing likes and
And
relationships.
relationship. Ooh, we gotta park the car on that one. Manufacturing love
Yeah.
and connection and relationships. And yeah, I mean, we can understand why there's this large frustration out here. This grand frustration is because a lot of what we say we want or we see in relationships is manufactured. It's not real. It's not authentic and genuine. People are not necessarily really putting their hearts into relationships the way they used to. I mean, you listen to the music. We talked about how there really aren't love songs anymore like that, or the love songs is Mr. Still Your Girl or WAP. And I mean, it's great to highlight these things because they're cool, but like, yo, they're not really moving our society forward in terms of connecting and love and relationships at all.
Like My Girl, like by the Temptations, that's a powerful song. Or like Tammy Terrell and
But what is just so crazy because if you
Marvin.
play that stuff now, like I was at Trader Joe's the other day and that song was on, and somebody was like,
My Girl.
yeah, they were like, I feel like I'm at my grandmother's house in the summertime. And I was like, yo, this is a classic. And it's talking about, because I mean, think about it, bro.
Maybe Cold Outside.
When do you hear men now in hip hop, R&B, or whatever genre of music really talking about how a woman makes them feel?
Yeah.
Because like, yo, I got sunshine on a cloudy day. You know what it's like to be in the sun. That when it's cloudy and the clouds open up and the sunshine, like,
Yeah.
yo, that is good for the earth. It's good for our skin.
Yeah.
It's good for everything.
When
And
it's
that's
cold
how
outside, I got the month
of May. And right here next to me, I got warmth. I got love. May is always known for the May flowers. April showers bring May flowers, and it's like regeneration and you know what I'm saying? So that's what he's saying. I got the month of May right here next to me when it's cold out. So you don't hear people talk like that. So the fact that like the love and care and concern and all of these narratives and about love and connection just there aren't a part of our society anymore.
No, they're not. And it's quite scary. And I think we're seeing that play out through the dating frustrations.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the time we have today. Thank you guys for listening. We'll be putting our socials in the liner notes. Feel free to reach out to us on our socials. Don't have the web up yet, the web email address up yet. What am I, from the 1990s? Don't have the email address up yet.
On the interwebs.
Yeah, exactly. GeoCities and the AOL pages.
Man.
But we will have one up soon. Look forward to connecting with you guys. You can always DM us. And thanks for listening. Until next time, take care.
Peace.